Hi, I'm Sam from Needcraft, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these fantastic tiered lampshades from our great range of creative kits. So, first of all, let's have a look at what you get in your box. We get 2 rings for your 30cm lampshade. So that's the diameter across of the larger shade of the 2 in the kit. And just to explain these a little further to you, this is a utility ring, and you'll see here in the centre that it has a centre section for your light fitting. The first circle here with the plastic adapter is for a UK fitting, and if you take this out, that will reveal the metal ring, which is a European fitting. Then we have the second ring, and this ring has the hooks attached to it already to be able to fit your secondary shade from it. You also get 2 20cm in diameter plain rings, and that's to make the smaller shade of the 2, which will hang from the larger shade. Also in your kit, you get 2 pieces of lampshade making PVC. So this is exactly the same product that you'd expect to see on the high street in lampshades in the shops. It's fire resistant, it's also been tested by the Lighting Association labs, and it's also anti-static and anti-yellowing. The great thing about these 2 pieces is they've been cut to size previously for you, and they're adhesive with this paper backing that you can see here. Also on each of the shade, really handily, is a kiss cut along the length of the top and the bottom of the shade. And this kiss cut has been calculated for you, and we'll be taking this, snapping it back and removing the excess PVC away from the top of the shade as part of the demonstration. This makes it really, really simple to make up. Also in our kit, you have the high-tack double-sided tape. So this is really highly flexible, as you can see there, and it's also transparent, which is an important part of the making the kit up, so that you can see through to see what you're doing underneath. We also have the rolled edge tool, and this has a serrated edge along the top, then 2 smooth edges that come to a point. And we'll be using this in the final stages of making up each shade to tuck the fabric underneath the rings at the top to give it a really professional finish. In each shade you also get a really clear set of instructions which take you step by step through the making of both of the shades, and as you can see they've got hints and tips on there as well, so you can read through those, and again makes it really easy to make up as you're making your shades. In terms of tools and what you'll need to be able to make up this kit, you'll need nothing more that you wouldn't normally have at home than a pair of fabric scissors. I usually have a second pair of scissors as well to cut my tape with, and you can use a craft knife if you'd like to, but you must make sure that you've got a table protector on your clean surface at home. So you just need a working surface of around about 1 metre to be able to make those up. Okay, let's get on with the making. So I have 2 fabrics here. These fabrics are both woven, so these are both cottons, and as you can see, they look really nice together. We've chosen a plain and a patterned, which is going to make this shade really pretty. And what you need to think about when you're choosing your fabrics is something that's woven. So something like a cotton or a linen or a polyester would be fine. Stay away from stretch fabrics though, because it doesn't work particularly well and it won't give you the professional results that you're looking for. So as we make up the shade, the first thing we need to do is place our fabric with the pattern face down, so you should be looking at the back of the fabric, and then on top we need to place our PVC panel. Now the PVC should have the sticky backing facing down as well. So we should be looking at the front of the PVC, the white section. And what we're going to do is we're going to peel away some of that backing. So I'm just going to move these rings over just to give myself a tiny bit more space. There we go. Okay, and if you have a fabric that has a geometric pattern on or something that lines up in particular, you will need to just line that up so it's nice and straight along the top of your shade. Now this has a tiny pattern repeating it, so I'm just lining it up with the buds of my roses there. So I know that's all in place now. And all you need to do is simply peel off the paper backing. So all you need to do is peel off the paper backing, about 5 to 10 centimetres, and we're just going to make sure we've still got that lined up, and we're going to push that down onto the fabric. And I just use the base of my fist there. And now that first section is adhered on. And all you need to do is just lift up the PVC and pull away the release paper and just simply smooth down. So pull away and just simply rub down. And again, just keep going, and it will get a little bit easier as you go on, purely because you've not got much of the paper left. So there we go. And all I do is just flip over and make sure that we haven't got any bits of cotton caught in there and that we're happy. Okay. So now it's on to cutting. So you can either use your craft knife here if you want to, or your scissors, but the same rule applies. You just need to cut as close as possible to the edge of the PVC. So I'm just going to cut along there. I'm just going to turn that around to cut along the length. So just try and keep your scissors on the edge. So now we've cut around and taken all the excess fabric away, we simply now need to work with the kiss cut. So you just peel it back, so you will hear a cracking sound all the way along. If your fabric's a bit thicker, it might not pop open straight away. So just run your fingers along, and then we're going to simply peel off the excess along the strip. Just pull that away gently. And we do this nice and gently because we don't want there to be lots of fraying. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit, so there's a little bit, but we don't want to make it any worse. And then exactly the same on the opposite side. So clip back the kiss cut, and that's starting to pop open, and then pull all the way down, and then peel back gently and just peel away from the fabric. And just before we finish with the PVC, you just need to take your double-sided tape, and I'm just going to trim off the edge there and stick that down on the PVC, not on the fabric, and this is where we're going to close our shade up. There we go, and just snip there at the bottom. So it should be not overlapping onto the fabric, it should just stay on the PVC. And I'm just going to remove the red backing tape on that there, so just be careful you don't lift the bottom of the tape off as well. Okay, and that's our PVC panel all prepared now. So we're just going to take our rings for the next stage, and we now need to adhere the high-tack tape to the rings. So we just need to simply take the tape, pop it onto the ring, and the ring should be running down the centre of the tape. So the two outside edges and the ring should be in the centre, and just keep running that round until the two ends meet up. And just before the two ends meet, I just like to snip away. It just leaves a small gap there, and then you can find the end very easily. And this part's quite important. Take your finger and your thumb and push the tape as far around as you can. And what we're doing is we're making the rings really sticky because they're going to hold the whole shade together. So there we go, just keep pushing it down until you get all the way around to the beginning again. And then we're going to repeat the whole process on the other ring. So exactly the same. Position the tape on the rings so it sits in the centre. Just running the tape around. And then with your fingers and thumbs again, you're just simply going to push that down and around. And when you reach the hook, you can just push it underneath. So now we're on to rolling the rings. So you just need to take your rings, take the backing tape off the utility ring first so you can stand it up like this, leaving your hands free to do this one. So just find where your two ends meet. Just be careful at this stage just to peel off the backing. There we go. And pop that there. And remove the backing tape. And at this stage, you just need to think if you have a directional fabric, and I don't, I just have a fabric which can go any way because I have birds on, but the birds are facing upwards and downwards on this one. But if you do have a directional print, have a think because you would want your utility ring to be at the top of the shade, as this is a pendant shade and it's going to hang down from the ceiling. So I'm just going to move to the side. You also need to make sure on this particular ring that the hooks are facing inwards towards the shade. So the same with the utility section and the same with the hooks. They should both be facing inwards and not outwards. So you just take your ring and position on the very edge of the PVC. So if you don't get it right the first time, you can always pull it away. And it just needs to sit on the PVC, and I usually leave around about a millimetre gap. Then take the other ring and repeat on the other side and position again on the PVC and just with a very tiny gap, as near to the edge really as you can get it. And then with these two rings, you just simply roll. Now, if you start feeling one of them veering off, and this one here at the back is, I'm just going to pull that off and reposition it. So it's quite forgiving in terms of being able to move. So once you start rolling, you can start using both hands because as you can see, the rings are fully supporting now the shade. There we go. And you're just getting them both rolling together. Great. And when we get to this point where we're just about to join our seam up, I usually pull it towards me and I'll just come back round to show you how to do this. So just make sure that your two edges line up together really nicely. There we go. And then with your fingers you can just push the seams together, but don't push into the centre here because you will damage the PVC. So simply turn the seam so it's on the flat surface and push down with your fingers, or alternatively you can use a seam roller for this. There we go. And as you can see, it's really starting to come together now. Before we start going any further, tucking our fabric underneath, just take your fabric scissors and you'll notice that you have a flap where your seams meet. So you'll have two layers of fabric. You want to just cut away the square. So just simply cut down and across, and that should leave you with a small square of fabric. And I still leave them so they're slightly overlapping, so there's no gaping. We can just repeat that now on the other side. So again, 2 layers of fabric, and we're just going to simply cut down and cut away. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push the fabric down. So we're going to push down so that the fabric sits underneath the ring. And you will come to spokes, and when you come to a spoke, you just need to do a small cut in so that the fabric then slips between the two and around the spoke, giving you a really nice clear cut. So push the fabric so it sits down and sticks underneath, and then you can turn over and do exactly the same on the other side. So with the hooks, you just need to do a tiny little cut in, and then push the fabric down so that it just sticks underneath the ring to the tape. And it's just making sure that this edge at the top here is nice and neat. There we go, there's another one. So I'm just going to turn that around so I can make sure it's in line with the hook. Brilliant. And the same again on my final hook, I'm just going to cut in. There we go, so that's all tucked around for us. And now we're going to start to tuck in our fabric underneath the rings. So take your rolled edge tool, and as I said before, this has a serrated edge that you can use, 2 smooth sides and a point. I prefer to use the point personally, that's what works best for you. Sometimes I use this corner here with a serrated edge, and you can use the whole length of the serrated edge to take the fabric underneath. And the aim here is to take the fabric and push with the point it underneath the ring. So we've just smoothed it all down, and now we're just pushing the excess underneath. And when you get to the spokes, you just need to push them in and around the spokes. There we go. And if there's any little frays, you can just simply brush them underneath using the point. So you're just sweeping them under. There we go. And you can hear that cracking sound. And what that cracking sound means is that the tape is coming away from the PVC to allow you to push the fabric underneath. There we go. And when we get to the final section with the overlap, I just place my thumb on the overlap just to make sure that I'm getting it as tight down as possible, making sure we're getting all the fabric underneath. There we go. So we're really starting to see the shade coming together now. So we're now just going to repeat the process on the other side. So there we are, we have now our first shade of the 2 finished. So this is our 30cm shade of the Tiered Lampshade Kit. So now you have your leading shade and your trailing shade, and all that's left to do is to join those 2 together. So turn your leading shade over and just make a note of where your seam is on here. And then with your smaller shade, your trailing shade, we just need to pop those over 2 of the hooks and then just pull the shade towards you so that you can hook it over the third. So you'll just need to put a little bit of pressure on that to be able to do that. And then finally, to finish it off, to make it look extra special, we have a diffuser, and you simply bend this so it's flexible. Just bend that and pop it within the ring, turn the whole shade the right way round and just push that down into position, and that should sit really snugly on your trailing shade. And there we have it, our pendant tiered lampshade kit, which I think you'll agree looks absolutely brilliant, really gorgeous colours together, and you can make these to personalise your own home.